Hey everyone, welcome to Mayfield and Friends, episode 11. Today I'm with free to play Iron Man Tannerdino. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about yourself?
Hey, hello, people. I play a lot of free to play Iron Man. I like to, I like to strat find, discover methods, calculate a lot of like EHP, big EHP guy. I know there's a lot of stigma against EHP. It's kind of cringe, but anyways, yeah, I love EHP. I also like to gain XP. Have 200 mil attack all at Giants. Took like 5K hours, it, or more than 5K hours. But yeah, I'm interested in like maxing, 200 mil all as, just as a concept, EHP. But uh, I think the most fun I have in this game is strat finding and meta involvement. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. So, what drove you to the free to play account instead of like the traditional members, all skills unlocked? I know it's kind of a controversial game mode for some people. Are like, why would you like limit yourself to that kind of stuff? But it's a very interesting account style to me. So, what drove you to that?
Well, I think it's more so coincidence because uh, essentially, I played this game because my older brothers play this game, and like I was kind of too poor to afford membership, so played. I just sort of played free to play, and I had a lot of fun. And then once I actually could afford it, I didn't really want to because I was just overwhelmed. I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like I hate quests. And I just want to gain XP, and there's so many more skills now. And then I was just like, screw it, and I just sort of like quit the game. But then I came back, made a free to play PKing account. That was really fun because free to play PKing was like easy to get into, easy to learn.
Yeah, I think many people can kind of attest to that. I have my own free to play PK account. I don't ever touch, but it's always
Yeah,
there.
I was like level like 30 and stuff. Like I people would like never fight me because I had like Addy 2H and stuff because they wanted to risk like the rune 2H, and like people would be like, bro, it's 3K drop. People would not like to fight you. Like I try to like hide my ID 2H because I was so poor. But essentially, at some point, I figured out what an Iron Man was, and I wanted to make one. And I was just like messing around, I guess, and then I got invited to W385. The CC I'm in, and I learned like a lot of stuff from there. I also you know, I got like big inspiration from like mid level Skilla, Automelogy, Disciple. They're all UAMs, despite me being an Iron Man. I'm pretty sure I didn't know what a UAM was. I was this much of a noob, and it was like I found it really fascinating because I was only like 13 when I made my account. This was a few years ago. Because I'm 19 now. I'm turning 20 in a few months, actually. Kind of
Mhm.
crazy. Um, so yeah, essentially, uh, it was all just pure coincidence. Like I never really, I just sort of just started as a noob in free to play first. I was never like high level in pay to play at all. There's some free to players that are like that, like Colorado One, Automelogy. There's a few others. Can't really think of any at the top of my head, but yeah, so I started off as a big free to play noob, and then a lot of like just the free to play community in general. It got me into a lot of the fascinating aspects of the game, and ever since then, I've been way too lazy to learn pay to play to its full potential. The only things I know about pay to play is like just like things I've just heard in passing, like um, I see like Twitter posts or
Mhm.
pay to play doing a method or something. Like I don't know how to do any quests or anything. I just see some of the methods.
So I'm assuming you've heard of some of the big ones like the like DriftNet, 3 tick 4G, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think I've seen enough where I have like a good idea of like each efficient training method apart from like Slayer. Like hardly understand Slayer at all. I think
Worst.
I have some sort of like idea of how it works, but like I
Mhm.
never actually fully learned it because I'm too lazy to.
It's the worst skill in the game, so I don't blame you.
Yeah.
It's just like it's one of the only skills in the game that like you have to go do what the Slayer Master tells you to do.
Yeah. Well, I've been watching the Box Young. I never remember how to say his name, but
Good
uh,
enough.
yeah, his speed run series. I feel like that's been like really good. Like, hey, I know that method. It's like it's been a good refreshment of like all the stuff I've sort of learned passively just from like knowing, you know, because I have my own RuneScape Twitter, just from like seeing pay to play methods on Twitter or even watching videos or even talking to, high level pay to play or pay to play Iron Man, just like seeing some of these methods. I thought, I really like his series. Same with um, JCW.
Mhm,
Really nice. I've been watching JCW streams as well. I like his level 3 Slayer
mhm.
training that he's doing when the staff. I'm pretty sure they haven't fixed it yet, but
Nope, I
when
think they
the
said they're gonna
staff.
fix it next update, and that won't come out till early next year. Obviously, next
Oh
year being
yeah.
in, like, just a few hours at this point.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Also, one thing I want to say, I find it fascinating how level 3 also has really slow XP rates.
Mhm.
Like, because free to play has like RC, prayer, crafting, smithing, has like all the like super slow XP. Like smithing's like 20k an hour if you're efficient. RC's like it doesn't even break 5k,
Mhm.
and then like crafting's like 20k as well. And prayer is like 15k, and it's like the hardest skill to train. It's like crazy. But yeah, I always found that really, really cool how level 3 also has like super slow training methods. I think JCW is getting like 10k an hour. Sometimes he's getting like 12k an hour Slayer, which I thought was like beast of like finally they finally unlocked 200 most Slayers as beasts.
Now
As
be
as
yeah,
a joke, because it's like it's like
exactly.
still like 20k hours, but still it's
It's
like
more feasible than the
might
old
be
method,
possible.
basically,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah,
which is nice for us because I don't know if you know what kind I play. I also play level 3, but I'm a level 3 UIM.
yeah.
So mine is, I'm very familiar with the slow XP rates and,
What's like the slowest training methods?
for me, um, the slowest is probably rune crafting, same as, like, a regular free to play. Because for, level 3 UIM, I still need GP. Because of course, you'll probably need GP for stuff at points, right?
Yeah, you need like GP for like arrows, sometimes runes. Actually, yeah, runes definitely. Since the Bryophyta staff is free to play now,
Mhm.
you just spend a bunch of GP on fire runes because you
Yeah.
used to not have to, but now you have to. Yeah, it's actually useful. GP is useful in that aspect.
So, yeah, I
But yeah,
need GP for a lot of things, so I have to do if I want all the GP for everything, basically, I need to do blood runes the whole time, and I think efficient blood runes is, like, 37K an hour,
pretty good.
and, I think, it actually slowed down a little bit with the outfit because if you get the RC outfit, you get more blood runes, so you get more GP, but you don't have full graceful, so your run energy depletes a little faster, so
Um,
with that being said, the method becomes a little slower, but
oh, you have to account for run energy.
yes.
That's also really nice. One thing I like about free to play is that there's a lot of like different run energy strats. So
Mhm,
like there's canoeing to Ferox Enclave for because like the run restores there, so you can like chronicle teleport canoe to Ferox Enclave. And there's also like smaller ones, there's minor ones like it's technically more efficient to run at 1% run instead of waiting to your like full run to run
mhm.
because it the way it works is that if you're at like 0.1%, you can still run for a tick. So essentially, you can average like less less run energy depletion per tick if you just keep running at 1%. So you can like run for 2 ticks at 1% instead of like the standard like a little less than 2 ticks. But um,
Yeah,
yeah,
some of those micro efficiencies are really cool to like think about in the long term. It's like how much time am I really saving by doing this? And like, you calculate out over how many hours you're doing things. You're like, oh, I saved myself like 10
yeah,
hours doing this.
yeah. I think it's just really interesting. I mean, you can do it like if you're especially if you're going for record or if you're like just going complete try hard mode. I really like going try hard mode. It's fun, especially on like if you're streaming on like Twitch or something. Try hard mode is just so much more motivating. And it's like s- sometimes it's less about the XP and just more about being try hard and optimizing it and just being just like doing like crazy strats.
Absolutely.
Um, there's also like other small things like um, some objects have like arrive delay, which stalls your character for a tick if you're going to interact with it and like move towards it. It might like rocks have it. It's
Hmm.
actually what causes like double rolls and stuff. Um, you actually don't regenerate run during that 1 tick delay. So you can actually avoid that 1 tick delay by running next to the object and then clicking on it. You don't lose any ticks. You just save 1 tick of run energy, which is like it comes in handy a few times. It's like a really small difference, but it's really fun like a little strategy to like have in the back of your mind, especially if you're going for like a record or even like quest speed running, for example. It's actually useful for like Ernest the Chicken because they don't give you enough like energy pots.
Hmm.
This is the problem I had with quest speedrunning is that they kind of give you like starting items and sometimes like you kind of lose out on all the cool aspects of managing your run energy like free to play has and some of maybe like one or two methods of pay to play. Also, yeah, actually I was watching Rez stream and he uh he was managing his run during 1.5 tick teaks and I thought
Hmm.
that was like really cool because I think just run energy management is just such a cool skill to have, and it just makes things a lot more interesting. But yeah, quest speed running they give you too many like energy pots, and it kind of just gets rid of that skill.
Hmm.
But for Ernest the Chicken, they don't give you enough, so you have to actually. There's some stairs that have a arrive delay, so you have to avoid the arrive delay to have just that little bit of run energy to save a tick, which is really cool. But yeah,
Absolutely. I think one of the things I wanted to ask you about, when it comes to like, say, with that run energy delay you were talking about and all that kind of stuff, is there's always been talk of moving one of the members' skills to free to play. And I know one of the skills people have really advocated for would be agility. Was that something that you would want to see in the game at all, or are you pretty content with it just being the basic free to play skills we've always known?
um, personally, I don't want any updates apart from maybe Ice Giant Boss, but then again, we don't really need it. But there's a few perks of free to play agility. So for it, I mean, let me just say this: there's some skills for free to play Iron Man that just they're not really viable to get to 200 mil, like prayer, RC. Like skills that are over like 15k hours, like
Hmm.
20k hours, 30k hours. Um, they're not really viable to train, but agility, it would be like 25k an hour, which is 8k hours. That sounds like a lot, but it's actually kind of viable for
Yeah,
like 200 mil. It's actually kind of crazy. That's like it's like 200 mil melees essentially, which is that's been done by like two players. So 200 mil agility is would be viable. It would be nice to have another viable 200 mil for free to play, and it'd also make other skills faster, like RC, um, smithing a little bit, crafting, uh, prayer especially prayer because you have to run. You manage your run energy at Boneyard. which is why I like Boneyard so much because there's so many little things. Um, Other stuff like actually I think that's it in terms of run energy. But the bad part about it is that Valley Course, it's not that bad. I mean, I've done Valley Course on like alts and stuff to like sort of get a feel for it.
Hmm.
A lot of like there's only like two AFK obstacles. Like um a lot, especially a lot of the obstacles near the end are just like insta. You like insta jump over things or you insta do it, unlike most like courses, which is that bad. At least it's not like annoyingly semi AFK. Like, at least like you can just like focus on the screen for like 15 seconds and then AFK for a few seconds at the AFK obstacles. But yeah, anyways, the Falador course isn't the best course, and of course, no pun intended. Of course, the having another skill is just kind of cringe. I think the free to play skills are too iconic
Hmm.
to just add more skills. Another contender for new skills like free to play fletching, which probably makes more sense than free to play agility. But again, I think the skills are too iconic, and I think just changing them would change too much, especially for Iron Man. Like just one little addition can literally just change everything because the way skills work for free to play Iron Man, like the way skills interact with each other, they're like so dependent on each other. Even if you change RC, that can literally change combats, which can change every other skill basically.
Hmm.
So um, like you can potentially just change the entire game mode. Why change something you love so much if you think about it?
Absolutely. So, I remember when they were talking about bringing Camdozol out. I know that was kind of a big like talking point in the free to play community before it, because there was talks about how the rates would change or if they would make it
Mhm.
like a best in stock or anything like that. Do you think Camdozal or in general the quest beneath Ice Mountain, do you think those were decent additions to free to play, or do you think they were just kind of unnecessary and kind of just filler content?
I actually kind of like the quests. I think quest is pretty well designed. It made you kind of travel around the world, talk to various NPCs. There's pretty funny parts during the quests.
Hmm.
It's rare for me to actually enjoy quests, and it was small too. Luckily it was small. There's a little boss fight at the end. I don't know how I feel about boss fight. I feel like there's too many quest boss fights. I feel like every other pay to play quest has a boss fight. It's kind of weird.
I agree. No, I agree. I wish there was more like puzzle based quests. Like I really like Murder Mystery. It's a short quest, but like it's kind of fun because
Yeah,
it like kind of brings in modern
I
forensic
think I
techniques.
yeah I think I actually did murder mystery on my alt once. Isn't that one the one with like the like fake silver items or something? Or am I thinking
Yes.
of something else? Oh
Yes.
yes, nice. I got it right.
Yep. Because you
But
use like a pot of flour on some flypaper and you pull fingerprints off and you do like
yeah,
investigating.
I did that. I did that quest with the old school RuneScape quest guide, and it was pretty fun. Usually, I'm like, oh my god, or the old school wiki
Hmm.
before quest. I hate quest helpers so much.
Really.
Yeah, I hate it. It's like so bad for the game.
I agree. I
Even
agree.
though
It's bad for the game. I think it's nice for someone like me who makes like besides Mayfield, I play a lot of like project accounts on the side sometimes. So I tend to do like early game questing a lot. So it's nice to just like turn my brain off and just click where it wants me to click.
yeah, it was nice for me when I was because I made like a pay to play account like 2 years ago or something.
Hmm.
Quest helper was kind of new, but I abused it because I was under the impression that it would be removed or restricted, but
Hmm.
literally nothing happened for some reason.
I'm surprised
Um,
it's one of the items that Jagex hasn't really like cracked down on more.
they like literally haven't talked about it apart from like quest speedrunning recently, where they're like, yeah, games done quick would be cool for old school speedrunning, but it's kind of cringe because there's just a bunch of like highlighting all over the place because like RuneLight.
Mhm.
It just tell you where to click and all these plugins would just be kind of cringe to look at, which I agree. Which I agree. But back to the main question, Below Ice Mountain, I think their blog post was not very good. It was like I remember the day. It was pretty bad. It was a bad day because they didn't really give good rates. Um, they were kind of like really vague about a lot of things. I think they weren't really developed. It wasn't fully developed yet,
Mhm.
which I kind of have a problem with. I kind of wish they would be more in depth with blogs, but on the other hand, if they're too in depth, it might go over a lot of people's heads, and they're just like too long, didn't read. Just give me the basics, or they're like, hey, I want to figure this stuff out for myself. I don't want it to get spoiled. A lot of people have that same argument for like the new skill, which I'm also against the new skill, but uh, I'd prefer if Below Ice Mountain wasn't a whole area. I think a new quest would be kind of cool, but like I'm against um I'm against like areas that you can just do everything in. Like
Mhm.
I was doing quest speedrunning a few weeks ago when it came out, and I was like kind of like because you had to like teleport to Soul Wars for some of the runs. And I
Mhm.
was like exploring Soul Wars, and it was so stupid. Like there's just so many like why are these items here? Like why why is there just a random island with just everything you can do? It's just like what kind of world building is that, or what kind of like world exploration is that? It's just it's just so stupid. I'm
Yes. No, I agree. I
kind
agree Soul Wars is, like, a very good example of they try to fit too much onto one thing.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of content nowadays kind of suffers from that issue, Below Ice Mountain included, because there's like you can fish, kill things, mine. There's a vault. There's quests, smith. Um, what else? Fishing. I don't know if I already said that.
Yeah, there's a fishing, cooking,
Cooking,
prayer thing,
prayer.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like there's way too much, and combats gives RC and stuff too. It's like, oh my gosh, I think it's just too much. A good example of content that does really well is that um, like especially early game content, like how Falador has a furnace but doesn't have an anvil, so you kind of have to move around the world or utilize banks to sort of you have to go to different places of the game to do certain activities. Can't just do everything in one spot. That's just boring and stupid.
Mhm.
Yeah, so a lot of like early game content does that really well, which I really like. That's part of the reason I play free to play because it helps you have like a deeper appreciation for all the small things that they did like way back in the day. That's why me and Automelogy were calling it like Gowerscape
Mhm.
because the Gower brothers.
Absolutely,
Uh,
yeah, no, because
all good
Ultimate Iron
stuff.
Man was originally coined as the Andrew Gower Challenge.
Yeah, it's beast. I love uh I love the early game content. There's always like super small subtleties that every once in a while you're like, you know what, this is really well designed. I it really helps you, especially if you like because the slow XP rates allow you to just like literally do the same thing over and over again for so long that you just end up, things end up clicking. You're just like, wow, this particular piece of content is actually really really well designed. Like this happened to me the other day when I was kind of like doing smithing stuff or like smithing calculations, and it turns out a lot of the XP per ore, like smith XP per ore mined, is about like the same for every like metal. So including coal mines, so like it's around like 18. So iron is like 17.5, and then steel is like 18.33 or whatever. So this is like, so you had to mine one iron, two coal for steel, and that averages to 18.33 XP per Smith XP per ore mined. So it's like it scales like that for like pretty much every metal. I mean, I think it's really cool to like think about how they actually created some of the stuff in this game. There's some other ones um like tuna and wines. They're unlocked at level 35, and they actually have the same success rates. So success rates for a lot of items are based off the level they are locked in a way, if that makes sense. So a
Hmm.
lot of like items that are unlocked at level 40 just so happen to have around the same like success rates. And it's not like they're not the level they're unlocked isn't used in any formula. It was just designed that way as a way to just have it more organized, I guess. But it's really cool once like uh, Cook Me Plox actually. He he's the one that actually told me that. I thought it was really interesting. But
That is really interesting. I never knew that.
yeah. He's the guy that have you seen the old school wiki, like the what's it called? Like the facts, like the cool facts on Twitter, like
I don't think so.
the fun facts. I think that's what it is.
I think I've seen like some like videos and stuff, but never like on Twitter. No.
Hold on. Let me show you some of them. Some of them are like really, really fascinating. Um, what's a good one?
So that while you're pulling it up, do you mind if I ask you one more quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I know you just hit Twin Mill Attack. We just talked about that. You talked about how that took about 5K hours, all at Hill Giants. So, when I was watching your stream, I saw you doing the Hill Giants and Al Kharid. What,
Right.
um, what like where did you decide to do the Hill Giant grind at? Like, 'cause I know they have the Edgeville Dungeon, Al Kharid, and then is there one more location for free to play for Hill Giants?
Well, I guess there's technically four locations because there's Alcarid, there's Edgeville Dungeon, there's two spots in the Wildy. So there's one in the Lava Maze. It's like there's three spawns, but they're like far apart. There's
Mhm.
two that are sort of close to each other, but you can. It's kind of a drag. And then there's also one near the Chaos Temple thing or Chaos Altar or whatever it's called. The one with the Chaos Druids in pay to play.
Mhm.
They're like kind of like outside that area, a bit east of that area. There's two spawns that are sort of far apart. I
Okay.
used to because the key rate's better there. I used to kill those when I was like really low level because this is back when there's like 8 worlds. So like you had to like compete for stuff. So like Edgeville Dungeon was not viable at all because there's like two people per giant. So you had to kind of like do Wildy or do Moss Giants. Most people did Moss Giants, especially at Crandor.
Mhm.
No one really went there apart from Iron Man. But yeah, I used to do like Lava Maze as well. But then they added a bunch of worlds. Actually, no, they added PvP world. And then I started doing PvP world Edgeville Giants.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was pretty fun. I did that for a while, and then I think a couple years ago, or I think last year, they added Alcarid Hill Giants,
Yeah, because it's
which are
after they changed after they created Pharaoh Enclave.
yeah. Well, they did, but like they didn't really add the Giants yet. It was just kind of empty over there for a while,
Okay,
but
okay.
then they added it later. Finally, it took them forever. But it's the best spot now because it's less crowded. There's more spawns, less crowded and more spawns. Overpowered. There's also small bone spawns in the ground, which increases the XP rate by between 1K and 1.5K, depending on how good you are. And another thing too is those spawns actually like the small bone spawns have they're actually dependent on the world population. So at like around zero or like really low population, they're like a 100 tick respawn time. But if they fixed them so they were at like the max respawn rate, how most items are on the ground,
Mhm.
um, they would be like 50 ticks respawn rate, which would be kind of crazy. That would like basically double the XP rate in a way, sort of, but or not double the additional prayer XP you can get. So you can probably get around 7.5k prayer XP per hour, which is actually insane because you also get like 50k combat. So kind of, maybe someday they'll fix it or they'll fix it without saying anything because there's a lot of small things that they kind of need to fix for consistency wise and stuff like that.
Mhm. 'Cause I
Yeah,
remember, didn't they change ore and tree spawns to be static? Because I know they used to be based on the world population, just like you said, for the small bones. I
yeah,
know like
they
many things used to be like that, like NPCs and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, that's kind of cringe, but I'm glad they fixed them all. I kind of wish this game was a solo game in a way. Well, I mean, I really like the like social aspect of the game, but if it was more like, especially Iron Man mode, if it was like if you sort of had a whole world to yourself somehow, I
Mhm.
think that would be really cool. But that sort of that sort of sheds some light on the wildy because the wildy kind of relies on PKers to be like the balancing factor of the content, which is
Mhm.
just so stupid. Why would you make it reliant on other players to make it balance? It's just kind of stupid. They really shed some light on this is why I don't like the design of a lot of wildy content. Apart from, maybe it takes a long time to get to in free to play at least. Some like nature runes, for example. You can telegraph nature runes.
Mhm.
You have to get the law runes. You have to telegraph them. They're pretty far out of the way. It takes a while to get there. Um, so it's not like a complete game breaking thing. It's just something you can do, which is also impactful for the meta. But I mean, you still have to like spend law runes and stuff, so it's not completely broken. If that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. I think I've seen, because I watch a lot of free play Iron Man videos. I actually just saw what's his, isn't his, it's like Peter or Petey McFly, something like that.
Yeah, Petey McFly, he's a beast.
I just watched his 2022 free to play awards video.
Yeah, he had one last year too. It was really good. Uh, I loved it a lot.
I really like his content. I wish he like had the time to make more videos.
Yeah, I wish he had more time to. He has good stats already, but I feel like if he had more time, he could just get even crazier stats,
Mhm.
and his videos would be even better. But they're already really good. Uh, what was the original question again?
Oh, it was just why how'd you choose the hill giant spot? And you kind of answered that. So I know you
Oh
said you
yeah.
had a few of the fun fact things you wanted to
Oh yeah,
share.
that's right. Let's see. Hold on. I so there's no way you haven't seen some of these.
I probably have. It just I don't. I use Twitter like so infrequently these days.
So here's a good example. So yeah, just like I'm pretty sure, I guess you can just like scroll through the tweets a little bit. I'm sure you've seen some of them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cook is responsible for most of these. He's the guy that told me about like the success rate thing. Like I think it's called like success rate tiers or something. I think that's what he called it. I'm not exactly sure,
Mhm.
but yeah, he has like a lot of these cool facts. He like knows a bunch of like really small things about the game. Kind of crazy.
And for those listening, and obviously can't see what Tanner just sent me, the first fun fact that he sent me were blackjacks can be used in combat and have a chance to stun your opponent. Now that is one I actually did not know. That's very interesting, actually.
Yeah, a lot of these are super crazy. Yeah,
It's kind of like the obscurity that we sit in with our game every day. That we're like, oh, we know all these like crazy things to do, But what are some of the small things that they added? Like,
Yeah.
um, one of my favorite small things they added is the ship that's in. It's not in Brimhaven. It's like south of the oh my god, Taibowanai village, and you can buy like tickets on it, kind of like a charter ship, but it's like an actual ticket. And it's like one of those really weird, obscure content things. The only reason people ever go to that ship is because it's an achievement diary task.
Yeah.
So it's like some of the small things are just really, really cool, and it's like it's really it's really amazing how many things they've snuck into the game that people have like picked up over years and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It reminds me of when Quest Speedrunnies came out. I was exploring like the pay to play Wildy because I've never been over there before.
Hmm.
And I was like, I think there's like a pirate ship somewhere. I thought it was really, really cool. I'm like, dude, I'm like, no one ever goes to this thing. Where is
Pe-
it on the map?
People go to that paraship all the time because
Oh, really?
you know what's up there?
What?
The Laren's big chest, and that's the only way you can get Dagenhai.
Oh,
So if you do Wildy Slayer, you get Laren's keys, and the Laren's keys open the Laren's small or big chest, and the big chest has a chance to drop one of 3 pieces of Dagenhai.
interesting.
So it's
Hmm.
actually pretty common. People PK there a lot, actually.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I've never seen it before. I thought it was really cool.
It is like it's one of those like you just like we were just saying, it's one of those like really small piece of content that they kind of added, and then I think they added Dagenhide to it. I don't know if Dagenhide was initially in it, but
Yeah, I'm not sure.
the Laren's keys were kind of the change from when um Wilderness Slayer used to drop the mysterious emblems that you could trade up and get money for.
Interesting. Uh,
So another thing I wanted to talk to you about is your kind of consistency in the game. You've been kind of a consistent player, and you said it yourself. You've been playing your account for quite a while at this point,
yeah.
and you just finished
Well,
a pretty big grind. So what what
yeah.
what keeps
I
you going?
I think there's a lot of aspects. First of all, I'm addicted to XP gain.
Hmm.
Um, really love finding things out about the game. Improvement. That's crazy. Love improvement. Um, what else? Community is huge. Tons of friends made along the way. Um, a lot of people sadly come and go. You know. Uh, what else? What else? I kind of wish I was a little more consistent because, like, there's been some months where I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna do something else, or I'm gonna train some other skill, and then I end up delaying my changeable attack grind. They took me 4 years to get changeable attack, which is just, I mean, it's like it. I probably could have done it in 2. So I was preoccupied,
Hmm.
some other things, I guess, and
Spe-
yeah. So I guess I'm not the most consistent player, but I mean, it's not like I quit or anything.
mhm.
Just changing things up. If that makes sense.
No, yeah. I mean, I feel like changing up the grind is definitely one way to keep yourself like involved. It's kind of hard for me to like sit down and do something for 10 hours a day anymore, I should say. I used to be very, very good at it, but nowadays I need some variety in my life.
Well, the thing with me is, I don't like if I'm like not doing something anymore. It's not that I don't like it anymore. It's that um, I'd much rather I enjoy something else more. If that makes sense. Like I enjoy like pretty much every skilling method in free to play. Um, Same with like everything. Like sometimes I'd just sort of go off on a particular skill or test a certain method and just try to figure out things like just stay like taking a break from my grind, just gaining XP at something else so I can because for me like figuring out stuff, it's a lot easier to figure out stuff if you're actually engaging with it at first. It helps me think, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely makes sense. It's
It doesn't really come to me if I mean, it can, if I'm on, like, the toilet or something, sometimes it'll come to me, but if I'm actually, like, training it, something almost will always click, or something will just come to mind all of a sudden. I'm like, "Oh, snap, I can just do it this way instead."
Mhm. And is that kind of how you approach? Because I've seen a few of your videos where you've kind of looked at different methods and kind of try to innovate things and all that kind of stuff. So does that kind of motivate you to keep playing? Is finding those methods yourself and sharing them with people, being like, "Hey, we do it like this. What if we could also do it like this?" And it's not the same, but it's very similar in aspect of like XP rates and all that kind of stuff.
Um, I think the more I play, the more I realize that I enjoyed that part of the game more than anything.
Hmm.
Just, explaining things, figuring out things. Um, I really do enjoy training methods too. Like, I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm also like kind of big into like speedrunning. I mean, I guess I mentioned Quest speedrunning a few
Yeah.
times here. Um, Speedrunning has a lot of like aspects of finding things, explaining, gathering info, um, you know, making guides, or all sorts of things. I think speedrunning is just the best way to play video games, and in a way, that's kind of how I play RuneScape. In a way, I mean, it's not exactly a speedrun. It's just I'd say it's a different type of speedrun, if anything. I'd say.
I know exactly what you mean. I tend to bring that into my other life of playing other games. I always look for like the best way to do something, the most efficient. And I love watching. You'd mentioned awesome games done quick and summer games done quick. I love watching those. I love watching speed runs.
Yeah, I've been really interested in, like, especially like old childhood games, just like
Yeah,
trying to find, like, going on speedrun.com, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, like there's been a couple times where like I just spend the whole weekend just like, what, I'm just gonna break open this childhood game, absolutely destroy the record, join the Discord, post all my strats, and then leave. Like, I've done that a few weekends. Like, I just like go no life for like 2-3 days. That's,
absolutely.
that's what I've been doing.
What are some of your favorite childhood games? Wow, I stuttered a lot right there.
That's all good. I played. I didn't actually play too many games. A lot of them, I feel like not a lot of people played. I played like War of the Monsters. There's actually a lot of people that played that. Uh, I'm sure someone watching this video will recognize it.
Hmm.
What else? Um, Another game called Galactic Wrestling. Um, the Pretty sure like no one plays that game at all. I'm pretty sure no one will recognize that game. What else? Midnight Club series. Dude, those are so good. A lot of people know what that is.
Very
Midnight
good
Club.
series. Yep.
Yeah, it's so good.
I spent many hours
Dude,
playing the Dub Edition 3 remix.
yeah, that one's good. Their soundtrack is genius.
Absolutely
Uh,
genius.
I'm a big like jungle D&B guy. It's like
Mhm.
old school drum and bass. Like, I wasn't like, I don't know how I never noticed, but those games all have like D&B, trance, and stuff. Like, I guess I just never noticed as a kid, but looking back at it, I'm like, dude, this music selection is so good. Like, now that like I just so happen to be like trance and old D&B enthusiasts,
Mhm.
looking back on those games, it's really, really good music.
I think it's
What
really
else?
interesting how, like, game selection can also influence, like, your music listening. So I
Yeah, true.
remember, like, I never listened to any electronic music at all, ever. And then, like, I watched a ton of, like, Bodhi and, like, stuff like that, and, like, just
Oh yeah.
and, like, other RS streamers, they just tend to have, like, trance, electronic, D&B, anything behind them, and I'm just like, what do you guys I'm like in my head I'm like, what are they listening to? Like this is weird. And then I would like listen to it and like kind of start to get into it and I'd be like, okay, this is like a lot more interesting than I thought it was initially.
Yeah, I think that kind of inspired me to listen to a lot more electronic music, like streamers or even videos.
Hmm.
Uh, Other games I speedrun, some like Flash games. I've done a few Flash game speedruns, but none of the big ones because I think it takes too much time. I don't think I can do that on a weekend.
Hmm.
Um, but I haven't really opened up every speedrun game. I haven't really done every game I have in mind for speedrunning. I just sort of because I only played like probably a dozen childhood games really when I was a kid.
Hmm.
If that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. I know a lot of people like I get a lot of the people tell me I'm not really a gamer, but I play RuneScape. You know what I mean? It's like
Oh yeah,
they don't really play other games, like this is their game, and when they're not playing RuneScape, they just like do other things.
I think that's just sort of my personality. It's just sort of like all or nothing.
Hmm.
So essentially, you know, I don't like game hopping. If that makes sense, it's kind of stupid.
No,
It's like
I totally
it's
agree.
it's casual gaming at that point. I mean, my attention span isn't that short. Come on. No disrespect to anyone that game hops. I'm just
No,
playing around.
I absolutely agree. I have a PS5. I bought it. I was super excited to play Horizon Zero Dawn, the new one, and then I like reignited my addiction of like
Uh,
hyperfixating on RuneScape. And then I made that alt account, and and that account already has like 250 hours on it. So it's like, well, I bought a PS5. I played it for like 10 hours, and I'll get back. I mean, I'll play it eventually. I just not right
yeah.
now. I'm just really into the game right now.
Oh, another game. A lot of people actually know what this is. COD Zombies.
Of course.
Their speedrunning is so awesome. I love to well, I guess it's not really a speed run, but they had to play as fast as they can for the best rounds
Hmm.
because there's like a reset time. So after a certain amount of time, the game resets because it's just too much time has passed.
Because that was in World at War, right? Where that like reset timer happens.
Well, it's in that for pretty much all games. There's also some apps. There's like errors that you can't really avoid because of
Hmm.
like certain things, but it's basically like that for every game, every map. You have to play as fast as you can until reset, which is really cool. I always keep in touch with a lot of like the zombie streamers. Always, I love watching zombie streams. So good.
Do you have
I'd love.
any like favorite maps?
Oh, no, not really. My favorite game is Black Ops One, of course.
Same.
Um, I do like I don't know if I have a favorite map. I think a lot of the maps are really good. I think a lot of a lot of the maps have like super cool strats, uh, and all that. Really good players too. There's some
Yeah.
players that are so good at the game. It's crazy. They have like 10K plus hours. You know, nothing on us RuneScape players. You know, some of us have like 40K hours,
Yeah. Absolutely.
but I mean 10K hours is still really good. Um, but yeah, there's other games I'd love to speedrun at some point. Maybe if I ever burn out somehow, but um, I enjoy RuneScape too much. So
That's actually one of the questions I actually want to ask you as well. Is basically like your future in the game and like how where you see yourself taking your account if you ever. Because I know you said you have like a pay to play main. You occasionally play sometimes. I think you've made videos on it doing theory crafting stuff, right?
oh yeah, yeah, I've done some sort of um, some sort of like theoretical free to play methods if they release certain pay to play things to free to play.
Hmm.
There's still some things I have to test, but I'm too lazy, and I don't have membership on that account because I'm too lazy to buy membership. I've
Fair.
I've I've been kind of a one account Andy for a little bit,
Mhm.
sort of chilling.
I just find it myself personally, I find it hard to unless I'm doing like something like super high focus on RuneScape, I find it hard to play just one.
Yeah, I used to be that way, but I don't know. Just over time, I just stopped caring about all accounts. I mean, every once in a while, it's fun to like, you know, I used to do this a lot. You know, whip up a new, you know, account or make a new PKing build or make a new Iron Man, new restriction, or make a hardcore. You know, like make an alt account that's
Yeah.
interesting. It seems fun to play, but then after like a month, you're like, ah, dude, I gotta log into another account. It's just I'd rather just log into, or I want to move on, or make it. I'm interested in a new account now. It's kind of like I think some players suffer from this where they don't really have they can't really decide on what their main account is.
I
It,
used to suffer from that greatly.
yeah, it's kind of it seems pretty it seems kind of sad in a way. Like they just spend all the time on one account. Like they could have still made like alts, but just stuck to one account the entire time, at the same time,
Yeah.
and gotten some pretty mad stats or better stats.
I easily would have had a maxed main had I stuck with my original OSRS account because I created one on like the day of release. When
Yeah,
it came out, because I was still playing RS3 at the time, and I was like, well, I'm of course going to log into old school because it's going to be crazy. Like the first time you ever logged in to Tutorial Island, it was insane to like log in and see hundreds of people on Tutorial Island just like all doing tutorial again, and then like spawning in a Lumbridge and being like, okay, what are we all doing now? Like, what's the play?
yeah. I never really played that far back. I only really started. I mean, I guess I did play pre OSRS, but I played like a lot of during that time. I played a lot of Team Fortress 2. I was a big TF2 player.
Gotcha. I'm a
Yep.
CS:GO guy myself, so I understand the love
Yeah,
for the Valve shooters.
yeah. It's so well designed. Love those shooter games. Super well designed. Um, Also a great community too. Great
Absolutely, yeah.
communities.
Some of those games are just unmatched in modern FPS too. It's just like,
And they're like sort of like RuneScape in a way, how they're so old and there's just a dedicated group of players that will just stay forever, really. It's like immortal, if that makes sense. Like
no,
TF2, for
absolutely.
example, it's like 15 years old, still going strong actually. It's kind of crazy.
It's interesting to see how like what games gain the traction and they stand the test of time.
Yeah, it makes me it's the same with like Minecraft too. That's like over 10 years old now, and it's still
I
like
love
popular than
Minecraft.
ever. Yeah, Minecraft is good. I
I get
wonder
it.
when Fortnite will die. I'm pretty sure it's already dead because well, people still talk about it a little bit. But yeah,
It's not as hype as it
Fortnite.
used to be.
Yeah, I don't even know what the trendy game to play is nowadays. It's not even Among Us anymore.
Yeah, I know
Among Us is
that game
dead.
was huge for so long, or not so.
Yeah,
It was like a full year though. It was like amazingly popular,
yeah,
and then it just kind of teetered off. People were like, "Oh, there are better games now."
yeah,
I think it also kind of the hive mind of like generalized gaming YouTube. People see one of the big creators play this game, they're like, okay, I gotta play this game now.
yep. I
So
don't know. I don't know if I want RuneScape to end up like that. Some people do for some reason. They want like RuneScape to be like the next big thing, which is cool. But I mean, I feel like one of the most valuable parts of old school RuneScape is just the dedication. Because I feel like you can't be a super popular game forever. It's just
yeah,
going to be a temporary thing. It's not like it's going to end up mattering. I mean, sure if it brings more people into like the dedicated part of the game, people that will actually stick with the game for very long periods of time.
Hmm.
Uh, sure, you could get some more people, but you know, if you had to make like a lot of sacrifices for the low attention span players in a way, so like little kids. So like imagine if RuneScape became the next popular game. It's just like a bunch of little kids playing.
Hmm.
Like imagine what updates you need to appeal to them, which can definitely conflict with, you know, more dedicated players.
I think
Some people are
that's the hard
willing.
part.
Yeah, some people are willing to take the sacrifice, which I'm like, no, you're only going to temporarily have massive popularity if we actually get it. We probably won't. But I mean, it's just like, oh, whatever. I kind of stopped caring at this point, but I'd still, it doesn't hurt to keep pushing for, certain things not get added or maintain certain views. Just because I don't care anymore what gets put into the game doesn't mean I can't hold the same strong my same strong opinions and viewpoints. If that makes
Absolutely.
sense.
I think that's like a great mindset to have in the sense, not the sense of like the my game can't change. It's like my game can change. I might not be okay with that, but I'm still going to enjoy the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know how I feel about new skill coming out. I am still going to play, regardless if it comes out or not. It sounds like it will, no matter how long it takes. We could not see that new skill for 5 more years
Yeah.
if people don't decide on one they like.
I think it's gonna take over a year. I don't know why people think it's gonna take like, oh, it's probably gonna be a little over 6 months. Like, no way, dude. It's gonna be a year. And then people are just gonna be like, oh, you know what? It took them this long. Let's just take the skill, let's just not wait longer. And that's probably what people are gonna think.
And that's the hard part is like if they're going to give us a skill, it needs to be not only like good, but also give itself room for expansion and changes. Cause like you can't just put a skill in and have everything that's ever going to come with that skill out right away.
Well, there's a lot of different things. Um, First of all, they had to have it in like actually be in the game, not be some sort of mini game like dungeoneering, for example, or
Yeah.
I don't know, exploration. I saw that on Reddit. I assume that'd be a mini game skill.
Like
There's no
sailing kind
way
of.
sailing, sort of. Sailing, there's different parts of the world. So I think I'm not exactly sure how you train sailing. Like every sailing blog post I've seen or sailing Reddit post I've seen, I still have no idea how they actually train it. Or they visit new islands. Like that's like is that actually how you train it? Like you keep visiting the same islands over and over again? It seems kind of lame.
It sounds kind of like a dungeoneering kind of roped into it, whereas like the island would have some kind of dungeon or like tasks to do, and once you finish it, and like
Oh
different
yeah.
multipliers and all that kind of stuff. It'd be like
Yeah, that would be sort of mini game esque.
I think it sounds interesting, and I think that if they implement it correctly, it could be good. But I don't know. I am just hoping for something. I guess I don't know what I'm hoping for at this point. It's like we've kind of all been indoctrinated with our 23 skills for 9 years now at this point. So it's like,
It's hard for me to have an opinion on it because I have my free to play opinion, but I literally have like I feel like because my opinion would be, oh, I don't want the new skill to change too much, and um, I'd rather the new skill, fit well into the game and all that. Like the implementation of a new skill has a much different effect on free to play than it would on pay to play because they're two different things really. And I mean I have my own opinion about like my free to play new skill. If they added new skill and if it was free to play, I have my own opinion on that, but I feel like I can't really have an opinion on it being pay to play, and because I first of all, I don't really care if it's pay to play because I'm not really going to play pay to play anyways.
Mhm.
And like, if it's free to play, I mean, there's no way I can. There's no way you can just like ask for certain things because it'll just be sort of implemented however they want. Because it's at the end of the day, it's not free to play that's getting the new skill. It's pay to play that's getting the new skill, and then free to play is sort of getting little parts of it. So it's kind of hard to like ask for how it's actually trained in free to play.
Mhm.
Actually, no, I don't know, but it's hard to say. Actually, it's hard, especially since there's no actual proposals yet. So it's kind of hard to visualize.
Yes.
But uh,
It's
I
kinda like
mean,
the wait and see mentality. It's like, wait, see what they bring up.
because personally, I just feel like, no, new skill sucks. I love the game, the way it's played. Each skill is so good in free to play. Um, I love the game. I think adding something would just risk changing too much, and new skills are huge. It's part of the reason why I play the game is because I want to train skills. If there's a new skill, I'm not just gonna not train it. I'm gonna
Mhm.
absolutely train it no matter what. So I mean it's not extra content to me. It's more like a little bit of extra content and changing everything else. I love the game the way it is. I love free to play the way it is.
Mhm.
So it's hard for me to actually voice an opinion because it's so free to play centered, and it's just like I feel like free to play opinion doesn't really matter in terms of new skill because it's not really directed towards free to play. It's hard to explain, but
No, I
uh,
I understand what you're saying, absolutely. 'Cause, like, you're not gonna maybe get the full skill, but you'll get small things.
yeah,
You'll get, like, maybe a new item or a new something like that from whatever it may be.
yeah, it's just free to play is just a much different game. Um, because I'm sure if it was added to pay to play, it'd change a lot of things. But in free to play, it would basically change everything. Like it's hard to put into words how much it would actually change. Because in free to play, the skills are so dependent on each other. Even like one little change can change so many things.
Mhm.
But yeah, no new skill. But if it's pay to play only, um, hooray! Because it won't be free to play, and I'll enjoy the game as it is.
Awesome. I do have a couple more questions for you.
All right.
My first one is actually a question from somebody else, not one of my usual questions I ask. So
Okay.
this question comes from a CC member of mine. His name is Plundering. His question is: do you still use the official Java vanilla client? And if so, what is your plan for when they eventually discontinue support for it?
Dude, and I've been thinking about this. I'm on the C++ client, so the
Hmm.
Steam client, I guess it's technically vanilla because it's made by Jagex. Um, I use Java, the official Java client, when Steam client goes down, which is around every Tuesday. Kind of sucks. Actually, when I got changeable attack, I logged out to check my stats, and Steam went down, and I couldn't log in. So because it was on a Tuesday, and I had to play on the Java client. The Java client's not bad. I like it. Um, but yeah, dude, I really hope they don't get rid of it. They will eventually. It's just gonna be so sad because first of all, it's nice. Second of all, um, it has a separate hop limit compared to like Steam and the Jagex launcher. So you can actually extend your hop limit if you switch between Java client and like the Jagex launcher.
Hmm.
So that's like really impactful for like free to play meta, especially like boneyard, telegrabbing, crafting sometimes. But boneyard especially because you hit hop limit after 2 hours. It basically cut the hop limit in half, which decreases your XP rate because you have to de-aggro every time. So it would be very sad if they got rid of the Java client. But um, hopefully they add the C++ client to the Jagex launcher. That'd be really cool
Hmm.
because I feel like it would be a lot more accessible. People won't have to be worried about having a like really secure Steam account, so they can just fully rely on having a secure Jagex account, and it would be quite nice. And you can also have, hopefully, you can also have more than one C++ client open because right now you can only have one open, which kind of stinks. But um, I will definitely be very happy once they finally add the C++ client because it's actually really nice. It's if you think about, imagine you go 2 years in the past, RuneLight, and you sort of get rid of all the useless features, all the junk
Hmm.
that was there. You kind of have all that, so you have like all the actual like quality of life plugins, and it's all like basics, like simplified. Um, it's all nice and in it's in the in-game settings. It's I don't like the look of RuneLight at all. I feel like the black, the like the dark look. I know some people like it, but it's not for me. I like the old school look better. I feel like the RuneLight like sidebar, like the plugin settings area. I think it just doesn't really fit with old school at all.
Yeah, I never play with that open. I can't.
Yeah, but what Steam does nicely is that it has, you know, it has sometimes less is better for me because I feel like it's just I there's one thing I wish RuneLight had was an ability to remove plugins because I really don't like all the junk they give you. It's like imagine you started a brand new account and they just forcibly put like a bunch of just random junk in your bank. Like I don't want this stuff here. And if that makes sense, of course.
No, it totally makes sense. I totally understand. There are
So
definitely plugins in RuneLight that I do not like. There are some that I use way more than I need to.
yeah, yeah, RuneLight's kind of OP now. It was always OP, but now it's just way too far. I don't know what Jagex is doing. It's basically a cheat client now. I don't understand. And people are like, yeah, it's broken, but I don't care. That's usually how people it's usually people's mindset. But my mindset is, yeah, it's broken, and I see it as tool assisting, if that makes sense.
Kind of like a
Because like,
tool assisted speedrun in a sense.
yes, this is exactly my point. Quest speedrunning really helped me open my eye for this one. Like, um, wait, I was like, wait a minute, using Relay is literally just tool assisted speedrunning. That's just so cringe. I'm
Hmm.
like, I that's part of the reason why I kind of stopped doing quest speedrunning. First of all, I wanted to, actually finish Two Drill Attack, and second of all, I wanted to. There's also like some issues with like alt abuse and certain like pre-run strategies, like circumventing the speedrun timer, which is so cringe.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I was kind of like against that sort of thing. And if I was to go back to speedrunning, quest speedrunning, I'd 100% play full vanilla. I feel like it's just the better way to play the game because it's not tool assisted. That's it's just that's what the it's like the best way to play the game. But I don't have anything against people that use Greenlight. I just I'd prefer just the vanilla version of the game.
Hmm.
I'd rather not. I mean, Greenlight's really useful for especially testing things. There's some unfortunately, there's some methods in free to play that aren't really possible without RuneLight, which kind of stinks. Like Minotaurs, for example. For max efficiency, you had to pick up all their bones and bury them. But if you're doing that on vanilla, you have to like dodge all the junk on the floor. So like you right click and like your whole screen's like full of just junk. So
Hmm.
there's like no way, there's no real way to click the bones unless you like if you put so many hours in and get really good. But I mean, if you do really, you can learn it much quicker and sort of had some stepping stone, which is the usefulness of your light. You can learn certain things. Same with speedrunning. You can use certain tools to practice certain strats or tricks. In the same way, you can do that with RuneLight. I see RuneLight as a tool, a not not like a way to play the game. But at the same time, I don't care if other people use RuneLight. I think stats are stats. As long as you didn't actually bot, you know,
Absolutely, yeah. I
It's not
think
like
it.
I'm not at a level playing field or anything.
Mhm.
'Cause I can easily just use Relay as well. I'm restricting myself. People aren't gaining an advantage over me. I'm gaining a disadvantage over other people.
And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the game too, is like you can kind of play it however you want as long as you're not breaking rules. Because like
Yeah.
I think the one plugin that recently came to RuneLite that kind of deters me from using too many of the plugins anymore is they kind of brought the never log from Open OSRS.
Oh yeah.
They changed the logout timer to 25 up to 25 minutes now, and it's like, yeah, it's just have I used it before? Absolutely. Am I is it does it always feel weird to use? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I have it. Sometimes I play Relay with my alts, especially if I want to like just mess around.
Mhm.
Um, I like sometimes I just forget I have never log on and like I'm just like logged in for so long. I'm like, wait, why am I still logged in? And I'm like, oh, that's right, never log. Also, another plugin I didn't really like that they added is custom menu entry swaps. It's way too broken. It's so stupid because they have it disabled for like players for construction. Like, oh wow, it's broken in some areas of the game. It's definitely not going to be broken in other areas of the game.
Mhm.
It's so stupid. Like, why have these stupid restrictions? That's just admitting that it's broken in some areas of the game. Like, if they want to actually restrict it, they restrict it in a lot more stuff. But that's impossible, especially for restricted account builds. There's no way they're gonna add. There's no way they're gonna restrict it for like stupid things like Minotaur bones. I mean, ground items already had that, but custom menu entry swapper. It's just it's it's too overpowered, and
Yes. There's
the
a
fact
line, you know?
the fact that they disable it for some things but enable it for other things is just so silly to me. Like they might as well just enable it for everything, like or at least not have it be a plugin at all.
Mhm.
Like I'm even against like shift dropping, but I mean at least shift dropping is balanced. It's not like completely broken.
Yes. I think with it when it comes to the menu entry swapper, I think swapping like making the bank teller a one-click bank, cool, you know?
Yeah, it's balanced. Yeah, I mean,
Like, some of that
sure. I
stuff
mean,
is
it's a
pretty
straight
chill.
upgrade. Sure, it's a straight upgrade, but like, you still have to like. I mean, it's not that big of a deal because you can pretty much always. Um, just because for it's only like very few instances where that's actually a clear advantage because you can always you pretty much always have like a one tick clearance at least. So I mean, you can just right click and just you know, you always have enough time to move your mouse down a little bit to click on the banker
Mhm.
for a lot of methods. It's only a few times where maybe you need to click on the banker really fast, like in the same tick. But that ends up being your fault because you should have calculated that beforehand.
Absolutely. All right. I think I got one final question for you.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I might have two more.
Nice.
We'll see how it goes after the first question.
Okay,
I
okay.
can't remember if there was one more I forgot to ask. I'm going through my list here. So, when it comes to like your work life gaming balance, how do you balance out like your time on RuneScape or other games, whether it be like your when you're going into your moods, you're like, hey, I'm gonna speedrun this game for the weekend. How do you balance your time so it's like, you're still getting your real life objectives done and not like pushing everything aside to play a game?
Right. So I'm not super good at this, but I've been getting a lot better, especially this year. Uh, so I'm in school and I work the weekends.
Hmm.
So I so usually I'd work. Usually I'd do like I'd have like a morning and um, a class in the evening, and uh, I'd have a couple days off school and work. So on the days off school and work, I go hard, try to get a lot of EHP. Usually I stream, try to get like 15 hours in on the days off. And for my school days, I try to like speed run my like schoolwork. And then I like try to go hard for the rest of the day. And then on the weekends, I try to play at work. I try to like cut willows at work. And when I get home, I sort of just chill at Hill Giants. I don't really try hard. Usually, what I do, and yeah, it's essentially what it is. So every once in a while, I get like I have that urge to just like, man, I really want to speed run this game right now. It's just I have that urge to just you know uh, strat find. I did that a few weeks ago actually for War of the Monsters.
Hmm.
Uh, there's like there's like 10 different monsters or something, and yet there's like a whole campaign you can play as each monster, and they have like different abilities. So it's really interesting to figure out which monster is actually the best because they're all pretty well balanced. So you have to like really figure out uh, what is best to do, and then each level has its own strategies, and there's certain boss skips and stuff. So there's a lot of like really cool uh, things to find, and there's like I learned cheat engine to like figure out certain things about the game, so I could have all the damage values, all the health values, all the different hidden buffs and certain things. So yeah, that's I really enjoy doing that. So every once in a while, I'm just like, I'm just gonna burn out. Just gonna burn out from this game for a weekend and just play something else for a little bit.
Hmm.
Usually that's how it goes.
Awesome. So I did have a couple more actually. I was reading through my list here. Okay.
Right.
So I know your previous achievement, biggest one, was Thermal Attack you just did. What are your current goals for Tannerdino?
Uh, Maxing would be nice. Couple other Tunes Mills. Maybe Tunes Mill Woodcut be my AFK skill. Woodcut at work. Uh, 30 mil prayer would be really nice. 30 mil prayer is hard. It's pretty hard. Um, I'm at 20, almost 21 mil. Oh no, 20.3 mil prayer right now.
Hmm.
So that yeah, 10 mil would be really good. Maxing, I'm like 4K hours away from maxing, like 3K hours or something.
Okay. So you're like you're far, but you're not like unreasonably far.
Yeah, it's a year and a half or so for me. Um,
What runecrafting method are you planning on doing? Are you planning to do flesh collars and then do bodies? Or are you planning to do the earth method?
well, I'm gonna do minotaurs and do bodies.
Oh,
I'm gonna
minotaurs. Okay.
Yeah, it's you can get like a lot of separate pieces a lot faster than flesh crawlers, and it's gonna be pretty good. I'm gonna get like a bunch of range. I'm gonna be like 40 mil range by the time I get 99 RC. Then it sets myself up for 200 mil range quite nicely. I just have like 160 mil left at that point. It's a good like nice little start.
Hmm. Definitely. And for the range, are you planning to keep doing minotaurs and stack up separate pieces for rune crafting, or are you just gonna AFK flesh crawlers?
I'm just I'm I'm just gonna get 99 RC and never train again. I'm not even sure if I want to lamp it because here's the thing. It's not really a good idea to train slow skills for more than you actually need to, or more than you're willing to do. Because I mean, all it takes is just one change, and all that time just goes out the door. You could have just done something else and then did RC later, and you would have saved so much time.
Hmm.
So after 99, I see no point in going for post 200, like post 99 XP, unless they like changed it to like something crazy like 10K an hour, 15K an hour. Then maybe I'd go for some post 99 RC. But after 99, I'm not going to train it again because I feel like you're just wasting too much time at that point because it's going to be changed eventually. There's no way RC won't be changed eventually. It's just too slow not to be changed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the last question I had for you kind of dives back into when you were talking about how your mindset in the game, you stick with the EHP, you love getting the XP mindset. So what what keeps you in that mindset instead of being just like a casual, I'm gonna log in and play for a few hours and log out?
Well, I think it's just find it super interesting. Um, I mean, of course, I like going for EHP weeks and records and massive gains,
Hmm.
but I think I just either enjoy the method or I just find it incredibly interesting. I think, especially in free to play, it's simple, but it's a lot of complex things. Once you deep dive into it, you can learn a lot of complex little like XP saves. Like for example, how I was going into like rent energy strategies. Like you don't just like stumble upon those. You only come across those by putting in tons of time and really deeply thinking about certain things within the game. I feel like free to play is so simple that um, a lot of the complexities comes out when you really have to stretch the methods to figure out some time saves, just like speedrunning,
Hmm.
which is why I love speedrunning so much. Um, but yeah, I love speedrunning, love uh, doing EHP strats. EHP is basically speedrunning. It's speedrunning mindset, if anything. Uh, so yeah,
Absolutely. Also, I lied. I have one final question for you.
yeah,
I thought of
keep
it.
keep them coming, keep them coming.
What is your favorite free to play skilling method? I know there's a few to pick from. Few big ones that I know are like eerie fishing, snow willows. What's the new one that I just saw my friend doing was cake mining, and that's more of
Uh,
a
Katsumi, he's a beast. Love him.
yes. I know he was showing us that in Discord a couple weeks back, and I could not. I don't know if that's very viable for an iron, but it was a very
Uh,
interesting way to see somebody do it.
yeah, it's like a reg method. There's no way to really get that much amount of food apart from like clues, I guess. But it's not really worth to do clues. Are there used to be like you used to be able to like alt abuse and buy wines at the wine shop. You could buy like 6K an hour,
Mhm.
and I think that had potential to actually save time because you use wines. You can use wines instead of cakes and three tick with them. But the reason why cakes are used is because um, there's no real way to three tick in free to play apart from snow. But snow, since it's like an object on the ground, it takes a tick to interact with it. Unlike cake, where you can sort of interact with it and move in the same tick.
Hmm.
So cake is really the only true three tick item. But my favorite skilling method, uh, it's really hard because I enjoy so much. I enjoy combats. Hill giants are super fun. Mouse giants are fun. Dude, I love smithing. Smithing's so good. Such a good skill. Probably the best skill in free to play.
Hmm.
Smithing so good. Free to play is centered around smithing. Man, I hate people that say smithing rework. It's so cringe. I've been using I've been using like have you seen like the chat GPT thing? It's like I think it's been over Twitter. It's like the AI bot that um you can like talk to and it does things for you
It
if you ask
sounds
it.
familiar, but I don't think I've ever used it or seen anybody use it before. But it sounds familiar.
Yeah, but I've been using it to like I chat to it. I'm like, hey, can you make my Reddit posts seem smarter, or can you provide an argument for this Reddit post?
Hmm.
So I'm like asking it to like argue with Redditors for me, so I can like so I don't have to like deal with these people. So like I have like paragraphs of like explaining in great detail why I'm against like smithing reworks on my Reddit account. It's pretty funny. But anyways, favorite scaling method. I really like 2.66 stick woodcutting, just snow plus the rat hitting you.
Yep.
Super interesting, super complex. I've still not solved that. I'd love to solve it someday. It's so hard to solve. I think I'll end up needing to like I don't even know. I'd end up needing to like I already have a really good like uh tree prioritization cycle.
Hmm.
So, like, which trees you prioritize during a specific cycle that you had to figure out what the cycle actually is, because you had to you had to know what tick to spawn snow on, which is hard to calculate. You had to keep in mind that rats hitting you. So yeah, 2.66 so good, super complex. Ear fishing, super good. There's so many minor mistakes you can make that just make that you have to like deal with so much. There's so many little things you can deal with that, like little minor mistakes you can deal with to increase your XP, which is really cool. It's also fishing because fishing is also a really good skill. It's it's one of the fishing in free to play is like it's like a Gower skill. You know, it's such a good skill. Um, I really love Boneyard. It's super fun method, super hard. The skill ceiling is like infinite. Like I'm pretty sure you can get 20K an hour if you're like insane in the game, perfect servers.
Hmm.
20K an hour Boneyard is absolutely insane. It's hard to put into words how insane those rates are because like the rates back in the day was like 8K, 9K, and it's literally the same area, but through just optimizations and more worlds, like 20K per hour, I think is possible, but it's hard to say. Um, but I think it, it's really hard. There's just so many good methods, so many good skills. Dude, snow superheating's so good. Hmm. I'd probably say Boneyard, even though
Okay.
I haven't done that much. It's just so good, so fun. No, 2.66 woodcutting though. It's hard. Free to play is just there's just so many good methods. It's like for it, if I was to pick like the best method in pay to play, I'd definitely say like 1.5 tick teaks. But for free to play, it's just there's so many good methods. Also, pay to play does have three tick 4G. That's also really good.
Hmm. I really like tick minute mining. That's like if I had
Yeah,
to pick a skill that I'm glad it can go faster with it, it's definitely mining. I just enjoy like the cycles of mining.
I'm kind of I'm kind of bummed out about pay to play fishing now. I guess uh, what's it called? The hunter fishing. It's I forgot what it's called, but
Driftnet.
I guess yeah, driftnet. It can be sort of interesting, especially like 'cause I was watching the Speedrun to Max series and
Yes.
he's doing it. Always thought it's kind of interesting because he had to like there's some fish it's actually worth the lose ticks to go to it because
Hmm.
it's like because of you have to account for the other fish around you and stuff. It would be really fun to sort of solve a method like that. So fishing isn't that bad, but traditional fish skilling is just so nice.
I agree. I also really like two tick swordfish.
Yeah, two tick swordfish. It's actually kind of crazy how well it actually works out because each fishing spot is like kind of different. So like fly fishing spots are different from bait fishing spots. Shrimp, uh, small net is different from big net. Like each spot has certain ticks in the cycle where you can't interact with it,
Hmm.
which is it's so stupid by the way, but um, it ends up working really well for two tick harpooning because uh, you can interact with it in the same tick your cycle in the same tick your dual roll. You can't do that for like barb fishing, for example. That's why you can't two tick barb. You can only two tick harpoon. And at the same time, auto retaliating sort of breaks your interaction with the fishing spot as well. It doesn't do that with barb fishing. So like it works a little too nice, but it's interesting how well it works out for two tick harpoon.
It's
But
very interesting to me how much of like this small stuff that you know that I never even thought about. I never thought
yeah,
about the fact that fishing spots interact differently. Only reason I knew that like mining rocks were different is because you couldn't do tick manip on some of the other ones because they had that delay, and now they would remove the delay.
well, that's actually a different delay
Is it?
because there's the success delay, which it doesn't actually prevent you from tick manipulating. It just makes tick manipulation cringe because it's just like it kind of ruins the flow. You basically have to tick manipulate, but wait one tick if you get a success, which is just so stupid. So
Oh.
you kind of have to like if you don't get a success, then you kind of have to react to not succeeding a roll, and then if you do, you kind of have to wait a tick. It's so stupid, but yeah, it was like basically a success delay. I don't know why they called it a random delay in the poll, but it's a success delay. Uh, some rocks, every success you got, it just delayed your character by one tick. That also you also can't regen run from that, which is um which is one thing, but it's not that big of a deal.
So did that change anything when it comes to free to play for like gold or silver smithing and mining?
Yeah, it makes silver mining faster. It's basically like you're mining iron, but success rates are different.
Hmm.
But also the respawn rates are way different for some reason. Also, but I was testing it. I couldn't really get the rates weren't that too much different because I do like double hopping with it, and it's kind of reliant on how long you stay in each world. Like every double hopping method is different because it depends a lot on how long you spend in the world, what you're doing in the world. because for silver mining, you won't always get the silver. So sometimes it's better to stay in the world. Sometimes it's better to just ditch the silver so you can not fail your double hop.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's success delay. I'm glad they removed it because it's just so stupid. I don't know why every rock except for all the good ones didn't have a success delay. I feel like it's just like I feel like I feel like someone at Jagex is just like, you know what, I want to make iron mining better for some reason. Or there's like, you know what, iron is good. Let's just make the other rocks worse. It's so stupid.
And
But
it was really a really weird thing.
yeah, but back to the question in free to play, there's just so many good methods. Even like the dull methods, like RC. I mean, it's kind of boring, but it still has like some really interesting aspects to it. It's meta to use Addy pick because you can two tick S with it, and you
That's a
save
method
it.
I am familiar with as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And that actually used to have um, in free to play. There's a bug like ever since they added the dragon pick, which was actually before free to play was released. Um, every pick in free to play had a 1 in 6 chance to save a tick, so you'd have to account for that when you're addy two ticking.
Really?
But yeah, it, it was only in free to play too. So in pay to play, in free to play, rune picks were faster than rune picks in pay to play for like the longest time until like last year or this year actually. Automology tagged Mod Ash on Twitter to fix it, and he fixed it like the next day or something. So
That's awesome though.
yeah, it's actually really nice for the cake method too. It makes it a little bit slower, but you're not like ambushed by a two tick, if that makes sense. Because if you it can like really mess with the rhythm of the method.
Hmm.
Even though it can be fun sometimes. Be like, oh, I reacted to the two tick. I can I clicked the cake in time. I saved some time, but it kind of just messed with the flow, especially if you're like adding zero time prayer into it, which is like a free to play reg thing, non level three, like zero time pray during gathering.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm glad they removed the thing, especially since it wasn't that way in the original RuneScape. It was just some sort of weird bug because of some pay to play content they added before free to play was even released.
It's weird
And
how like the code of RuneScape is so we always call it spaghetti code, but it's true how like strange some things interact with other things are.
yeah, I guess it is. I mean, it's a really old game, and those, you know, I feel like I really enjoy those little quirks and all that. I feel like it's really fascinating, and I think it keeps the game interesting. In my opinion, I think it's good. I'm glad it's not a perfect game, else it would be kind of if you think about it, like all the good parts of this game, they were good. They were good by accident. I'm just gonna say it. Particular manipulation that was not intended at all. Um, certain like metas and stuff definitely weren't intended. Like, who would have thought that a group of free to players would be, um, you know, eating a cooked fish, cooking in the same tick, clicking on the fishing spot, three tick fishing, zero tick cooking, doing all these like crazy methods. Like, who would have thought that would be possible? Like, there's no way.
And same thing with like when they had a fossil island, it's like who would have thought that them adding those three tree patches next to each other would like change the way we do wood
Yeah,
cutting.
it's like there's just so many like little things, and I'm pretty sure like I'm not exactly sure if this is true, but I think arrive delay, um, which is the separate delay. which is separate from like success delay. It's
Hmm.
the arrive delay causes, because the way arrive delay works is that it makes you interact with the object a second time, essentially. So if you like time the arrive delay right, you can have the arrive delay script play when you're due a roll. So you basically interact with the tree twice, and you get two rolls. So yeah, that's kind of how arrive delay works. But I'm not I'm not exactly sure if this is true, but I don't know if arrive delay is like an old school RuneScape only thing. But I think they added arrive delay like very early on in old school to sort of like fix animations. Like if you're like running to a rock to mine it from far, like so it doesn't look like you're mining it from far away. Your character has to like go next to it first. So
Yeah,
it sort of delays. I think it's an old school only thing. I might be wrong though, but yeah, like if that wasn't scuffed, the game would be so much more different. There's like a lot of little things in this game that are super super fascinating, super interesting. Keeps the game cool.
absolutely. Well, Tanner, that's all I've got for you today.
Already over. Geez, that went by quick.
Hour and 41 minutes we're at.
Pretty good. Pretty good length.
So I want to thank you again for being on. I will, of course, plug your Twitter, your Twitch, your YouTube, all that stuff in the description of the video, so
All
people know
right.
where to find you. Of course, I'm assuming most people watching this will know who you are.
I hope
Um,
so. Actually, I hope not, because the more people that learn who I am, the more likely they might try out free to play. Make sure shout out to the free to play community. Shout out to everyone that participated in free to play. Shout out to everyone that tried free to play. Love you, and thank you for doing that. By the way, just a quick shout out.
no,
That's what I want
absolutely,
to
yeah. I was already going to give you that option, so
say.
you, you
Sorry.
you didn't even need me to say it. You were already there. So, is there anything you besides what you just said? Is there anything you want to leave to the people, or anything you want to ask me before we go?
Uh, hmm. Oh no, I think it's all good.
All right,
Think I've gotten everything situated.
awesome. Well, thank you for being here, and happy scaping.
Yeah, you too.